welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. You know what Christy Mathewson wasn't worried about? SIERA. When you're thinking about Pedro Ciriaco, I mean, the only one that can compete is maybe Hannes Wagner's 1908 season. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran.
Like, if we just clip together every time we've talked about him on other people's profiles, we've done a Mickey Cochran episode.
I can't get past Rabbit Marinville. It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Across from me, as you cannot see on YouTube, unfortunately, is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, we are terrible at predicting baseball.
We are.
Yeah, we are awful. Congratulations to the Atlanta Braves. They did it. They won 2 games.
Yeah.
We thought they weren't going to do it. It took them 2 games to do so.
Right. Yeah, that happened. I said the Dodgers would win the first 3 games.
Yeah.
And so far they can
To be
only
fair,
win
you
one.
did say they would win the Freed game at home.
I did. And so I knew that the Braves were hosting, but not for the 2 minutes I was predicting
The series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it before and after, but not during. So I said, Dodgers will win first 3, but, the Braves will get the Max Fried game at home.
Yeah.
I mean, I was partially right. I just didn't have the game correct, even though we already knew
It's like the easiest part.
Yeah, even though I already knew where this game would be and when it would be, I just didn't get that right. So, that was rough. But yeah, the Braves, surprising the baseball world. I think the other series we kind of got a little bit of what we expected, in some form or fashion, a split in Houston.
Yeah.
But the Braves are out 2-0. Where do we want to start here? Do we want to start with Red Sox Astros?
We've already talked about the Braves. I think we should just stick with the Braves.
Yeah, let's do it. It is the hottest topic of the day here on Monday, October 18th. Saturday night after the Red Sox won against the Astros, it was Max Fried versus an array of Dodgers pitchers. We thought maybe Scherzer was going to get the start on Saturday, given he would have had a day's rest after his 1 inning of work on Thursday, but that was not the case. It was basically a bullpen game for the Dodgers, kind of a mismatch for the Dodgers, given that they were facing Atlanta's, what I would say would be Atlanta's best starter right now, with Max Fried, and ended up being a tight game until eventually we see the walk-off.
Yeah, it was. The Dodgers had I wasn't able to watch game 1, unfortunately, but I believe did they have a lead in that game?
The Braves, yeah, at points. I think they traded, I think it might have been like 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2.
Okay.
Type thing. I don't think 2 runs were scored at a time necessarily. I'll have to go back to the box score here on the NL National League Championship Series, where, excuse me, Braves started with a 1-0 lead in the first. Then the Dodgers tied it 1-1 in the top of the second. Dodgers took a 2-1 lead in the top of the fourth on a Will Smith homer. And then in the bottom of the fourth, the Braves tied it once again, and then no one scored until the bottom of the ninth, which were some frustrating innings for both. Probably especially the Dodgers, given all their opportunities with runners in scoring position, as we'll get into later. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, a pretty solid game. Some high leverage situations. Looking at that was the game. That was a game where the Dodgers went 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. The Braves only had 2 opportunities with runners in scoring position, and they got one of them. And I mean, how'd they walk off again? Yeah,
Austin Riley hit a single.
Yeah, so that
was one of them. Yeah.
So they went 1 for 2 with runners in scoring position, and that
Kind of crazy.
That one time that they got the hit with runners in scoring position, it was a walk-off. So,
Yeah,
I mean...
that was a 3-2 game. They had the Riley home run to make it. That was their second run, and then I'm trying to remember what was the second one? Or no, they scored in the first too, and it was on a ground out, I think. In that game.
Yeah, I don't think I saw the first inning because I believe the Red Sox game was still
Oh, it was a wild pitch. That's why.
happening.
The Red Sox game was still on at that time. Corey Knebel threw. By the way, Corey Knebel starting this game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just on 1 day's rest.
He goes on a day's rest. Max Scherzer does not.
Didn't go exactly as planned. His inning went. Let's see, single, strikeout. But Eddie Rosario steals second. Ground out, which moves him to third. Wild pitch, strikeout. So I mean, like it was actually not a bad inning. He gave up one hit, but base running and wild pitches ended up scoring a run. So kind of a weird, just a way to move guys around. But the Braves did it and it worked.
Right. Yeah. It's always weird when, you just allow a base runner and unlike a single and he just finds ways around the bases. It's like, was it a bad inning? Maybe, I guess, but just kind of weird how it happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, after him, it was pretty good from the Dodgers bullpen. After him, I mean, it was 2 runs allowed and 8 1/3. Including Knebel, 14 strikeouts on the day, with no walks. So, get BABIP'd, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, only allowed 6 hits. Looking at the final statistics, given the Dodgers' opportunities with runners in scoring position and the Braves, that was one that the Dodgers had to have.
Yeah, that was a Dodgers game all the way up until it wasn't. I mean, like you just mentioned, 14. I want to check this. 14 strikeouts, no walks, and you lose. Like that's brutal.
Yeah. I mean that's probably something that has happened. Like if it has happened, it's happened maybe once.
In extra innings.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at postseason history because that sounds like something that just doesn't really happen.
Yeah, because usually 14 strikeouts, you get a walk or 2 in there.
But no. 14 strikeouts, 0 base on balls.
Yeah.
And then the outcome is win, and it's postseason, and this is team batting, I believe.
Yeah, and then Max Fried had himself a good day. 6 innings, 2 runs, 2 earned runs. It was the first time in 31 innings he had allowed a run. Just insane. So,
Chris, can you get the button out, please?
All right, yeah, we got a button alert here.
The Atlanta Braves, in Game 1 of the 2021 National League Championship Series against the Dodgers, became the first team in postseason history to win a game in which they struck out at least 14 times and walked 0 times.
How about that?
Yeah, wow, what a weird performance there from Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, they came through the one time they really had the opportunity to, for the most part. I mean, because they scored. How'd they score? They scored on a wild pitch.
A home run, and a walk-off single.
Right, yeah. Was it Jock in the fourth?
No, it was Austin Riley.
Austin Riley, yeah.
That was just the Austin Riley game.
That's true.
Simply.
That is true. Yeah, the Braves have had some guys step up for sure. With
their bullpen has just been pretty big for the most part. Outside of the 7th inning last night, like their bullpen has been huge all postseason.
Right, and you could argue they should have scored less runs, based on how that play at center field was handled.
I would argue against that.
You're right.
I would argue against because realistically, Heredia wasn't catching that ball, and the best case scenario would probably be he plays it on a hop. And 2 runs are still going to score on that play because there was 2 outs, so Will Smith was going on contact, so he was probably rounding third by the time that ball dropped, so even if he played it perfectly on a hop and threw it home, still really unrealistic that he was getting him. The only difference that was made by the ball getting by Heredia was that runners went to second and third instead of first and second.
Yeah,
but no other runs scored anyway, so
exactly.
Really, I don't think Jesse Chavez. I don't know if this is all this postseason or in general or just this series, but I mean, Jesse Chavez, AJ Minter, Tyler Webb, Luke Jackson, and then Chris Martin and Will Smith. Each pitched and allowed no runs last night. Tyler Matzek was the one who did allow 2 runs, but kind of unfortunate circumstances because he did intentionally walk a guy right before they brought Luke Jackson in. So that is, I believe, and that was one of the runners that scored because Luke Jackson came in, hit a batter, that gave up the single, and then got out of it eventually.
Yeah. So far, some of the Braves' headline performers. Jock Peterson, yesterday he had a home run. He's 2 for 7 with a home run in total. Austin Riley, 3 for 7 with 3 for 7 with a home run and 3 RBI, and he has 0.68 WPA.
Wow.
And that leads the team. And then you have Eddie Rosario. He is 5 for 9 this series with an RBI, and he has .55 WPA.
I want to see, what was Austin Riley's WPA in that first game?
That's a good.
Probably pretty good.
Yeah, probably near 1. I'd have to imagine there.
I wouldn't say near 1, but it was probably like 8, maybe 7.
Yeah. And then out of the bullpen, with the Braves, Jesse Chavez has had a scoreless inning. Luke Jackson has had 2 scoreless appearances.
Yeah, okay. It was 380.
Chris Martin, a scoreless appearance. AJ Minter, a scoreless appearance. Will Smith, 2 scoreless appearances. Jacob Webb, a scoreless appearance. I think the only bullpen arm that has allowed a run on the Braves was Matzek. He allowed 2 runs.
And then, they've overall just, that's been probably the biggest surprise, I think, from that Atlanta Braves team. You know, the lineup we know is good. Starting pitching, they have their strong points, even if they're not the best in the world. But that bullpen, that was their biggest question mark going into the playoffs, and they've really stepped up this postseason. I think that's a huge part of why they went to Milwaukee and won. That's why they're up 2-0 against the Dodgers.
Right, yeah.
You know, we're going to talk about the Dodgers' failures with runners in scoring position, but those are situations that were created by Atlanta's bullpen that they got out of.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah, so far in this series, 9 innings, 2 runs allowed. That's gonna put you in a good place, especially with Game 1 when Ian Anderson
Game 2.
Game 2 when Ian Anderson went
4.
Only went
I think he went 4.
Maybe he went into the 4th, but it says he went 3 innings.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, he did go. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, so even more of an exclamation point by the Atlanta bullpen. Yeah, they've I think the Braves have surprised us. I think the Dodgers have also surprised us with 2 for 18 with runners in scoring position is all you really have to say.
Yeah, 2 for 18 with runners in scoring position during those 2 games. One of them was obviously that base hit by Chris Taylor. I think they were both Chris Taylor. I think both hits with runners in scoring position were the same guy.
Yeah,
let me check that. Yep, absolutely. That is very much correct. How about this? Only 1 hard hit ball with runners in scoring position this series, and I use that term lightly because it was a 95.5 mile an hour flyout by Cody Bellinger with a 41-degree launch angle. 95.5 41 is almost never going to be a home run.
Yeah, no.
There's also on a 3-0 count too.
Yeah, that's never quite gonna work for you.
If you're gonna have a 40-degree launch angle, that better be at least 100.
Right.
And even that's probably not gonna cut it in most places, unless you're in the Crawford boxes or the Green Monster or the Short Porch.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, you're in Atlanta. That's not how that works.
Right. Pretty open stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Braves are up 2-0. How do we feel heading into games 3, 4, and 5? I think what's huge here is the Dodgers cannot clinch at home.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The Dodgers are just hoping to send it back to Atlanta at this point.
Right.
That's the craziest thing. I want to talk about Dave Roberts a little bit because, I was very adamant on giving him credit for what he did in Game 5 in San Francisco, and I stand by that, but I don't understand bringing Julio Urias into that game in the 8th inning.
Yeah, it seemed to be a little overkill, trying to maximize your arms there.
Yeah. Especially with the amount of effective and healthy relievers you had in that bullpen. You could have easily gone Gratterall for the 8th, Jansen for the 9th.
Right. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a scenario like.
Because Gratterall ended up starting in the ninth. He gave up a broken bat base hit, got 2 outs, and then the runner moved from first to second, and Jansen ended up throwing 1 pitch, which was an error by Corey Seager. That's what won the game.
Right.
The runner moved to second on a soft ground ball. Like, all things considered, Brusdar Gratterall did a fine job. He gave up a broken bat single, nothing you can do about that. Get BABIP'd.
Yes, get BABIP'd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at the Savant numbers against Gratterall last night. It wasn't a thing. Roberts doesn't have a situation where it's like, well, I got to choose between Adam Ottavino, Ryan Brazier, and Nick Pivetta right now.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go with my one of my starters. It's like, no, you have 2 very reliable relievers in Gratterall and Jansen, who have shown to be reliable in this postseason. In this brief time in the postseason thus far, they've only played 7 games so far.
You also have Phil Bickford in your bullpen, who this series, I guess he did use him a decent amount the night before, but 1 1/3 inning, 3 strikeouts.
Yeah.
I think the caveat might just be exactly that he used them the night before. But the Dodgers used like seemingly everyone in Game 1. They did a full bullpen attack in that game.
Looking at Gratterall's numbers against him.
Yeah, Kenley threw 2 days in a row. Trinan threw 2 days in a row. Vesia threw 3 days in a row. Like Dave Roberts hasn't shied away from throwing people twice 2 days in a row. Like, I don't understand why you didn't do it with. Like, why you couldn't have done it with someone else? Why did he have to put Urias in that game?
Right. Gratterall starts off the inning with a 79.4 mile per hour single.
Mm-hmm.
Then a 45.1 mile per hour ground ball. It had a negative 46 degree launch angle. I don't remember if it was a bunt, but
oh yeah, it was.
Okay,
it was a bunt. Yep.
It was a bunt.
It was the one where they got the force out at second because it was Dansby, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Dansby bunted. It wasn't a good bunt. They got the force at second, and then Heredia had a swinging bunt that actually got the runner to second with 2 outs. And then Eddie Rosario, who went 4 for 5 in that game, credit to him.
Yeah.
Like he had a huge game for himself.
Right.
Yeah.
Gratterall allowed a 40 mile per hour ground ball to Heredia, and I don't know. It feels weird after a guy's kind of having a decent inning, at least like with how guys are seeing him, to put a new guy in the middle of an inning. I feel like what gets lost sometimes with fans is how important it is for relievers to start innings instead of coming into the middle of one. Especially with someone like Kenley Jansen, who's an established closer.
None of this. Kenley did not have any fault in any of this. He gave up a ground ball that Corey Seager should have fielded.
Yeah.
That is, you can look at it whatever way you want. I know that it was a hard hit ball, but you gotta at least knock it down because there's 2 outs. Who was it? Freddie Freeman was on deck, and obviously he is dangerous as he is, but he hasn't been himself in these 2 games.
Right.
Just based on reputation from those 2 games, you'd honestly rather face Freddie Freeman than Eddie Rosario. But granted, these 2 games aren't everything. I'm not saying that that should be the Dodgers' mindset, but regardless you got to field that ball and not let a run score because, if you make an error and you don't get the out at first, whatever. If you keep the guy at third, you get to the next guy and you see what happens, but you cannot let that run score on that ball.
Exactly. It was flubbed a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're major league second baseman / shortstop. You're kind of expected to make those plays.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tough. Tough how it ended from a Dodgers perspective, and ended very well from a Braves perspective. So,
I'm checking a couple things.
So it's been interesting seeing Roberts go very unorthodox here.
Yeah.
With probably the most talented roster he's had.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is the most talented roster he's had.
Which is crazy to think about, given the rosters, previous rosters that he's had.
And the fact that they also didn't even win the division, which is hilarious to think about.
And they had as many wins as they did in 2017 and
I think they had more wins than 2017.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I think they won 104 that year.
Okay, 2019 they won
2019.
106.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, he's being the most unorthodox with his most talented roster. He's not going by the book like maybe you or I would by just kind of using your relievers as relievers and your starters as starters. I feel like it's easier to do that, especially earlier in the series.
But like Arias is on, like I'm not against using your relievers or your starters as relievers. Like Alex Cora does that all the time, and he gets praised for it. But like Arias was on how many days rest from Game 5? Like 3 days rest. And oh, by the way, he's gonna go on 2 days rest in Game 4.
Right.
Like you're already putting so much on his plate. Like what are we? And you have Bruce Gratterall, Phil Bickford, Kenley Jansen. Like you have so many guys in the bullpen that can get you outs. Like batter by batter, those guys you could probably make a case are better than Arias.
Yeah.
Like
Arias was on 2 days rest too.
Yeah.
It's it's a bit of pressure to put on
You're right,
him.
it was 2 days rest.
I feel like you just wait to use him as a starter, especially since it's not extra innings. Your starter for that game went 4 1/3, which by playoff standards is pretty like right where you need him to be, and you have a deep bullpen already. So, if I feel like you should wait to use Arias until 10th, 11th inning if it gets there.
Yeah, like if you're putting your Arias in relief, you're going for longevity. Like
Yeah.
batter for batter, that's where you put your relievers in because those are where they're more effective. That's just the reality of the situation.
Exactly. So I guess we'll see how Roberts keeps managing this series. It's the most unique we've seen him manage
Probably ever. Yeah.
in his 6 years there in LA. He started in 2016, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so 6th year in LA.
I love this stat right here. So Eddie Rosario, like we were mentioning earlier, he went 4 for 5 last night. He had a 503 win probability added. He is the 5th Brave in playoff history to have at least that. The first one was Francisco Cabrera in that game, in Game 7 of the NLCS in 1992. Right, the one where he had the base hit.
Yeah.
Obviously that was which makes sense because that was literally a get WPA'd moment for the Pirates. Like they were up until they weren't until that. Michael Tucker in Game 5 of the NLCS against the Padres in 1998. Brian Jordan in 1999 in Game 3 of the NLDS against Houston. And then Eric Hinsky in Game 3 of the 2010 NLDS against the Giants.
Eric Hinsky.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
He just always found himself in the playoffs.
He did. Playoff legend Eric Hinsky. People forget.
07 Red Sox.
08 Rays. 09 Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
09 Yankees and
Until 2010 Braves.
2010 Braves.
Let's see if there's any others.
I mean, yeah. Gotta love that guy.
Him and like Johnny Gomes, they just always found themselves in the playoffs. Yeah, it was just those years. He got 2 rings out of it.
Yeah, Eric Hinsky, he serves a good memory in my head because the first MLB game I ever went to, he had a 2-run triple.
Yep.
Which was by the looks of Eric Hinsky, triples were very rare.
How many career triples did he have? 18.
Oh, 18.
In 12 years.
18 in 12 years.
Yeah.
Do you
remember what year this was?
It was July 21st, 2007.
Okay. Well, from 2007 on, he had 6 triples in 701 games played.
So I saw his probably 6th or 5th to last triple. I was there in the right field corner.
I was at the game where David Wright hit his last home run. You were at the game when Eric Hinsky hit like his 5th or 6th last triple.
Yes. Legend. I can say that now confidently.
I've been one-upped.
Yeah. Yeah. Finally. So yeah, interesting seeing Dave Roberts manage the way he has. We will see how he will for however many games it takes. Maybe it's only 2. I doubt it, but there's still a possibility.
If the Dodgers get swept, how much can you really blame this on Dave Roberts?
It's definitely not all his fault.
Yeah, I mean, you can blame him. Like, I think for some individual games, but like if you get swept, man, like your players just got to be better.
Right.
Like you don't win a single game, especially when you've won 18 more games in the regular season than the team you're playing.
Right. And
But I'm not assuming sweep. That sounds too ridiculous.
right. And our sponsor showed up again, WB Mason, who showed up once again
Yeah, they did.
to the studio. But yeah, you know, you just look at the runners in scoring position numbers, and it's like, well, that probably had more of a factor, but not all of it. So a segue.
I feel like the postseason runners in scoring position numbers just haven't been good this year.
Yeah,
Let me check that.
outside of like Astros and the ALDS, it's been because I don't know, the Rays in their series hit like 240 with runners in scoring position. Red Sox were probably a little better, I would think, but yeah. Do we want to get into?
Red Sox Astros.
Yeah, and then we could kind of preview the games, all the games after.
Yeah, just real quick. The league-wide batting average with runners in scoring position throughout the playoffs this year has been 230. Yeah.
It's usually
What was it during the regular season?
if I had to guess, I would say 255.
Wow, that sounds high. I would say just like 245.
Do you have?
Oh no, it's 252. Yeah, you were pretty much right on.
Yeah, a little close, but
But yeah, that is a 22-point difference.
yeah,
That's significant.
it's not that small of a sample size.
No, it's not outrageously small.
Right. It's however many games have been played so far.
What about like slugging? I feel like there haven't been many like extra base hits either.
Right. Not many like huge, big, momentum shifting hits that weren't home runs.
I mean, I guess the Taylor double last night. Slugging's been 376. It's not that good.
Yeah, not good at all.
No.
So yeah, 230 with a 376 slugging.
That's like assuming, well, actually, I think I can get the OBP as well. The OBP has been 286, so, let's see, 286
plus 376.
plus 376.
It's like mid 600s.
662.
662.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah.
60. The overall postseason OPS with runners in scoring position 662.
Rough.
That is not good.
Not good at all. MLB's got to work it out. But you know,
You
I
guys
guess
gotta figure it out.
I guess you have better pitching out there.
Yeah, you do have better pitching out there, but you also have better hitting out there.
Correct. All right. Red Sox, Astros. This is where the League Championship Series is started on Friday night. I guess we talk about Chris Sale first.
Yeah,
Because, he didn't get the loss, obviously, and it wasn't his fault
entirely.
that the Red Sox lost. But inevitably, he did not set up the Red Sox pitching well.
No.
Because the Red Sox, they used 8 pitchers on Friday.
And for the most part, they did reasonably well.
Yeah, it's just that when you go deeper and deeper, especially with the Red Sox, with a team like the Red Sox, the less pitchers you use, the better off you are.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So, the less times you got to go to guys like Ottavino or Martin Perez, the better
Ottavino
off
has
you're-
pitched well, though.
He has been a little better than he was in September.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, do you want to get into like Chris Sale?
The thing that bothered me in Game 1 was you saw that strike zone to like JD Martinez, right?
Yeah.
He struck out looking on 3 consecutive pitches that were clearly outside. Didn't swing a single time. Struck out. None of them were strikes. And the Red Sox just never threw to that part of the zone.
Yeah.
It seems too obvious.
Right.
The ump's gonna call it a strike. If someone actually makes contact, it's probably not going anywhere. Just camp there.
Exactly.
Felt weird.
It did feel weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we talked about it privately, like the fact that Sale's got to be better, but we both agreed we don't know why Eovaldi's not out there game one. We understand Sale, I mean, career-wise, better resume. Overall in the year had a lower ERA. But if I'm looking at Eovaldi's last 2 starts heading into the ALCS and Chris Sale's last 2 starts heading into...
You can go beyond the last 2 starts.
Yeah, you could, but this is what I can remember.
Yeah,
like
the Nationals game and then the Rays game. Yeah,
so with Chris Sale, game 162, he doesn't get out of the 3rd inning. He just seemed off. He didn't. The Nationals didn't explode on him, but he didn't look right.
Mm-hmm.
Then in game 2 against the Rays pretty much explode on him, and they score 5 runs off of him. He doesn't pitch past the 1st inning. But then on the flip side, you got Eovaldi, wild card game, shoves, 5 1/3, 1 run allowed, 8 strikeouts, no walks.
Mm-hmm.
Eovaldi in game 3 against the Rays, 5 innings, 2 runs allowed. I think it was 8 or 9 strikeouts and maybe 1 walk. He was brilliant, amazing, great, and so I don't see what and Eovaldi going into Friday would have had 4 days rest, which is normal rest for a starter, and he had no relief appearances in between. So I wasn't really understanding where Cora was coming from there. I don't know if he was asked about it, but there wasn't really a particular reason stated. I don't know why Sale was out there game 1, but obviously Sale has to do better. He's expected to do better.
I mean, I know that there was a whole big story about him developing a changeup or whatever, which he threw twice.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah. I feel like he's still readjusting himself. It seems like he's still kind of readjusting himself post Tommy John out there.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing about Sale. He's coming off of a year where he threw 40 innings and is still somewhat recovering from a career-changing surgery.
Yeah, and having that surgery as someone on the wrong side of 30,
mm-hmm.
It's probably going to take him a little longer to recover than say a young guy like Strasburg did or Matt Harvey did. And we know he didn't have the greatest career, but he bounced back pretty well immediately after the surgery.
Yep.
But yeah, Eovaldi just seems more primed and ready to go, obviously, right now. So Sale, his average fastball is around 94 right now. I mean, he was throwing 96 on Friday, but it just he doesn't seem all together. He's not the ace Chris Sale yet. I feel like it's coming, but it's not there just yet.
Yeah. I don't know what else. I mean, game 1 was, I mean, the Astros they came out firing. They had that home run by Correa where he pointed to his wrist and said, "What time is it?" That was cool. That was I admire the Astros for just embracing that villain mentality.
Yeah.
I think it's so good for baseball that they know who they are, they know what they look like in other people's eyes, and they're running with it, and it works for them.
Yeah, they can't stop what people are going to think of them, so they're they've chosen to embrace it. Exactly. So yeah, the Red Sox were able to get 3 runs in the 3rd inning of that game. Some of them are unearned runs.
Yeah, most of them unearned runs.
I believe, yeah. I should go back to...
The only earned runs the Astros gave up were home runs to Kike Hernandez.
Yeah.
Who's, otherworldly in this playoffs.
Yeah, he has been... Wow. I mean, something else for sure. If we look at the earned runs by Framber Valdez, he allowed 3 runs, 2 of them earned. It was kind of a weird, wacky inning. It always is with Framber Valdez because he's given up 70% ground balls.
Yeah.
So it's just whatever's sneaking through is going to sneak through.
The funniest thing was that the Red Sox had grounded into 2 double plays in the first 2 innings. And all the Boston media and fans on my Twitter timeline were like, "Stop grounding into double plays." It's do you know who you're facing here?
Yeah.
Do you understand who this is?
Exactly.
That's part of the scouting. It's don't get your singles with 1 out or with no outs because you're going to ground into a double play. That's just how this works.
Yeah, it's it's like facing Josh Hader and being like, why are they striking out so much?
Yeah, stop striking out. Have you heard of hitting the ball?
Yeah.
Have you heard of getting a hit?
Yeah. Yeah. It's obviously this guy's specialty, and he's obviously been doing this to the entire league.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
Not only that, but like they showed a graphic pre-game showing that like Valdez had like the highest ground ball rate in the qualifying season like since they started tracking it with like 70%. It's like you saw the graphic. Why are you upset that they're hitting ground balls? That's just what this guy does. That's who you're like. I know it's a relatively new concept to the general public. A guy who just exclusively like inherits ground balls, especially at his rate. But it's like it's like you said. It's like getting upset that you're striking out against Josh Hader.
Yeah. Yeah, and like for more statistical perspective on it, out of all the seasons in the StatCast era, Framber Valdez has the lowest launch angle against of all seasons with 300 plus batted balls against. His average launch angle this year was -6.
Negative 5.5 technically,
Negative
but basically -6.
Rounds up to -6. The next lowest out of 820 seasons was -2.
2, yeah. So like he's otherworldly as far as giving up ground balls. Framber Valdez. His only issue is walks. Like that's what kind of kills him. The Red Sox, they walked 4 times all game. How many times did Valdez? 3. Okay, well that makes sense. 3 walks, 2 2/3 innings.
Yeah, that's what
Fair
gets him
enough.
into bad situations. Kike had his home run in that inning as well. And then Red Sox offense kind of went radio silent after that until the ninth when Kike showed up once again.
Yeah. The Astros bullpen went 6 1/3 innings, 1 run allowed.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right.
Especially from a bullpen that struggled in the series before.
Yeah, and only 1 walk allowed in those 6 1/3 innings, and I'm trying to tally up the strikeouts. 1, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 strikeouts, no walks, or 1 walk. 8 strikeouts, 1 walk from that Astros bullpen. Yeah, they stepped up for sure. Garcia finishes the 3rd. Christian Javier had a great 2 innings, 1 base runner allowed, 4 strikeouts.
In 2 innings. That's good. Phil Motton, mid-season acquisition for them. Brooks Raley came in and looked really good. That was probably the statistical worst pitcher on their staff. He came in and looked really good against a couple of lefties.
Yeah, he did. He did. Stanek came in for 1 guy. Got him out. Graveman.
People were upset that Danny Santana was pinch hitting for Hunter Renfroe.
Yeah.
And which, between those two, I get it, but Graveman had a 348 OPS against for right-handers and a 748 OPS against for left-handers. That's a 400-point difference. So it makes a ton of sense, actually. Especially with the way Renfroe's been performing this postseason. He's kind of been... he's been due, as we've been saying for 2 weeks at this point. Yeah.
I mean, he's strung together some base hits and some walks, but no
overall,
extra base hits.
Yeah, no extra base hits. That's the guy who hit, 27, 28 home runs this year?
I think he reached 30.
Did he?
Yeah, which was, surprising.
Oh, yeah, he hit 31.
31.
Yeah, he's hitting 259, which is not bad, but, I mean, like you said, not a lot of walks, no extra base hits.
Right. It's that was a pretty interesting game. How it all turned out. Just both pitchers, ironically enough, went 2 2/3 innings. So it was bullpen versus bullpen. Astros bullpen came out on top. I think that's all you really need to say about it. I think.
And Kike Hernandez is just so
Hernandez
good.
Just trying his best to just win every game for the Red Sox.
Be a one-man show.
Then you go to Saturday. Saturday was fun for us to watch as Red Sox fans.
That one was over quickly.
Yeah, we had Luis Garcia out there for the Astros. Didn't have a good performance against the White Sox, and the bad juju continued with him on Saturday afternoon/evening. I don't know what to call it. 4:20 p.m. I don't know what to call it. Where he, loads the bases, grand slam, by JD Martinez. He leaves after the first with some apparent injury. Rafael Devers, grand slam.
Yep.
On a pitch that was outside the strike zone. Like it was.
I thought it was foul.
Me too.
I thought for sure it was foul. I was like, oh man, that would have been so sick if he got that, but then he did.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, that's staying in there. Oh, that's 4 runs.
Yeah, they were the first team to hit 2 grand slams in a postseason game. They did it in 2 innings. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
That's so wild, man. 2 grand slams in 2 innings.
Yeah, so then
The first 2 innings, nonetheless.
So then, like, it was just kind of cruise control from there. Red Sox just kind of held on. They had Eovaldi out there. I guess we did kind of predict potentially where the how Eovaldi might fare against the Astros. Like we talked about how his strikeouts might decrease. He only had 3 strikeouts on Saturday, but also when you're up 8-0, you're gonna pitch differently.
Yeah, I said I wanted Eovaldi to go 3, have Cora put in Nick Pivetta for like 4 innings in relief, and just have the bullpen go from there, and then save Eovaldi and pitch him for Game 4.
Yeah.
Which I have no idea what the Red Sox are doing for Game 4, like at all.
Mhm. Yeah, it's.
I think they're just gonna throw Pivetta because he hasn't pitched all series. I think if they need long relief, they'll just look to Houck.
Yeah. It might be a thing where they just kind of combine them as one starter.
That could happen too.
Where like each guy goes through the lineup one time, and then after that it's the bullpen. Potentially.
Yeah.
Not,
We'll see.
Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen.
I think Game 3 is gonna be very weird because like, let's assume Erod goes like 4 to 5 innings. That's kind of what I'm expecting from him.
Yeah, let's hope.
Like, what do they do after that?
Right.
Also, what do the Astros do? Because so like Luis Garcia had to leave with an injury. Supposedly he's fine now, and then they went Jaco to Rizzi. Like, who do they start in Game 4? Like,
Right.
I genuinely have no idea.
Yeah, this is where we see the effects of the Lance McCullers Jr. injury.
Yep.
Because you feel,
Is it like maybe Greinke? Like, I know he's hurt, but
yeah.
he hasn't pitched all series.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing that you with the Astros, you have these question marks that you didn't know you would have, before the McCullers injury. So this is where we see the effects, is these kind of later games in the series, or like, I guess technically it's middle of the series, but the later stages of your pitching staff there.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Game 4 is definitely going to be the most unpredictable in terms of what people are going to do. Tonight it's Erod versus
Our guy, Jose Urquidy.
Jose Urquidy. I mean, Urquidy's he's done.
He's good.
He's done well in the postseason.
Yeah. He pitched. What was his outing against the White Sox like? Did he have an outing against the White Sox?
I'm not sure.
Um.
I am not entirely sure there. What Jose Urquidy has done.
Yeah, Jose Urquidy. I mean, this guy's kind of a postseason legend. That's how he came up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we just liked how he performed in Game 6 of the.
He has not pitched all
ALCS.
playoffs, so this
Yeah.
will be interesting.
Yeah, it will be interesting. He's known as a guy who's like going to have an ERA in the high 3s or something like that. He'll give some innings, and I mean, yeah, I think the biggest variable is Eduardo Rodriguez. Like, are we going to see the Game 1 against the Rays Erod, or are we going to see the Game 4 against the Rays Erod?
Mm-hmm. It all comes down to BABIP.
Yeah,
That's just how it is.
that's the one thing. And also what he can control is, the strikeouts and the walks.
Yeah, but like he's had a career high strikeout rate, a career low walk rate. The BABIP has just been brutal.
Right, but I think his problem in the Rays in Game 1 against the Rays is he went an inning and 2/3, 2 walks, 1 strikeout.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't working for him.
Yeah.
So
Especially with a
we will
team that
see.
just doesn't strike out a lot. Like the Rays and Astros are entirely different with their strikeout tendencies.
yes,
So if you couldn't strike out Rays, that's concerning.
right, exactly. but I believe he fixed it up for Game 4. But yeah, the Astros, you know, they're a team that's gonna BABIP you.
Yeah,
With their line drives and ground balls.
exactly.
So it's something you got to watch out for. I don't really. It's tough to see what's going to happen with either series really in the next 3 days before we record next.
It'll be, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of questions to be answered. I think a lot of it lies within, especially in this series, it lies in games 4 and 5 and some of game 3 because like I legitimately have no idea what either team is going to do.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
the starting pitching in Dodgers Braves is a lot more established. You know, like you could pick out the 4 guys in those rotations. You really can't do that with the Red Sox and with the Astros.
Right.
Although, also, can we talk about ARR in? I think it was game. Yeah, was it game 1 or 2 where he just had like the most? I think it was game 2. Yeah, where he just had some ridiculous tweets that made 0 sense.
You want to pull those up?
Yeah.
Man.
Okay. Let me find. Okay, yeah. So this tweet was made after Luis Garcia left with an injury, also after giving up a grand slam in the first inning. A-Rod says, the Astros are going to realize how important starting pitching is. This isn't the Verlander, Cole, Greinke, Morton, McCullers Astros. Shows how much the loss of McCullers really, really hurts. Like, why is he saying this as if it's the Astros' fault? Like, one of their best starting pitchers got hurt. Luis Garcia also supposedly got hurt in that start. And, oh, by the way, the Verlander, Cole, Greinke, Morton, McCullers Astros never existed.
Yeah.
Because Charlie Morton's last year with the Astros was 2018. It was 2018. Zach Greinke was not on the team then.
Yeah.
And then Charlie Morton left. Zach Greinke still was on the team. Lance McCullers Jr. was out with Tommy John surgery for the entire 2019 season.
Right.
2019 happens. Garrett Cole leaves. Justin Verlander pretty much hasn't been there since. He was there opening day in 2020, but that was just about it. Those Astros never existed.
Yeah.
And he's trying to frame it as if it's all against the Astros. Like it's
right.
like they got to realize starting pitching.
Right. And when have the Astros been the bullpenning team? Never.
No.
What helped them in all their years of success was their starting pitching outside of maybe 2020.
Ken Giles wanted them to lose so bad in 2017.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
Yeah, it was all their starting pitching. It was the Verlanders, it was the Cole in 2019. Yeah. Verlander, Cole, Greinke in 2019.
Ken Giles was their closer in the 2017 season. He pitched 7 2/3 innings in the 2017 postseason and had an 11.74 ERA. He gave up an earned run in all but one of his outings.
Right. It's a thing where, congrats, A-Rod. You got it right. Their 2019 rotation is better than their 2021 rotation as of now.
And then that was. Do you have anything else on that one before I move on to the next atrocity?
I got nothing more.
Okay, so then Kike Hernandez, killing it as we mentioned. And A-Rod goes, for all the analytics people that work in Major League Baseball, please stop saying there's no such thing as hot or cold. Kike is hot, just like Arozarena was last year. Simply incredible. I've never heard, I'm just going to be honest, I've been very involved in analytics, and Chris, you have too. I've never heard someone say that hot and cold, there's no such thing.
Yeah, no. I haven't really. Trust me, I went back in the memory bank.
Yeah.
But nothing showed up.
The closest thing I can think of is that it's not meant to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Which is I don't think anyone's going to dispute that.
Yeah.
Yes, Kike Hernandez is extremely hot right now, but I think what A-Rod's trying to play is it's the notion that this is just who he is. Kike is overperforming right now. Let's be honest. This isn't. Yeah. Believe it or not, Kike Hernandez is not a 667 hitter who consistently puts up a 2,400 OPS.
Yeah,
as crazy as that might sound.
Yeah, exactly.
And none of this is predictable. You can't predict when a guy's gonna go on a hot streak, when a guy's gonna.
Right. Yeah.
I don't understand. Whatever point A-Rod was trying to make, it did not come across the right way at all.
Right. Exactly. It's just one of those things where it's you get to find out when people are just mad at analytics people for no reason at all.
Yeah, it makes A-Rod loves doing that too, which makes zero sense.
Right, which it does make zero sense because, we've talked about how like he loves small ball even though he had 696 home runs and
Yeah.
that's why he's one of the best players ever.
It's a shame that he now owns a professional sports franchise while he openly downplays analytics.
Right, that's true.
It's unfortunate. Sorry, Minnesota Timberwolves fans.
Yeah, you're going back to Hoosiers era basketball.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
I promise
fundamentals.
you, I have never in my life heard anyone say there's no such thing as hot and cold.
Right. Yeah. We have a whole segment about who's hot and who's cold
Yeah.
in baseball.
And we call it, like, our cold segment is called slightly alarming, which means don't put too much stock into it most of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's just a cold streak. It happens. It happens to everyone. A-Rod probably would have had a slightly alarming at some point if we covered his career.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Like the 2012 playoffs, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, shake my head.
Yeah. Makes zero sense.
Right. It's it's just people getting mad at
Those, like, seriously, people like that need to stop getting platforms. Like, I
Right.
promise you, nobody in 2021 cares what John Smoltz has to say about baseball.
right.
Like, in the booth.
Right. Well, no one who's an up and coming baseball
Yeah.
fan.
Like, no one's going to be like, I grew up listening to John Smoltz.
Right, yeah. Not really. I feel like people care more about the play-by-play guys in terms of like who's in the booth. Like we'll always talk about growing up listening to like Don Orsillo,
Yeah.
play-by-play guy. And when we talk about Jerry Remy, we talk about like the funny things he
Yeah,
brought
like
to the
Don
game.
and Jerry were a comedy act for 15 years.
Yeah, but we're not going to talk about how like learning about what we know now.
Yeah.
No insult to Jerry Remy. He's the best.
Yeah,
But
love him, wishing him the best.
obviously, yeah. But all right. So, do we want to talk about how potentially these series could play out here?
Let's do it.
I mean, we won't throw in predictions, but we should. I think we address kind of how Red Sox Astros might go in terms of pitching matchups. But Dodgers Braves. So we got Morton, Game 3, right?
Yeah. The Braves were up 2-0 last year in the NLCS against the Dodgers as well.
Yep.
Morton pitched Game 3 against the Dodgers in the World Series. It didn't go well. I have PTSD from that because I essentially banked on a Rays Game 3 win because Charlie Morton was starting, and then what did he do in that game? Let me see.
I think it was 5 runs in 5 innings.
It was miserable. That's crazy that they let him go that long, giving up that many runs.
Might have been
Considering-
three home runs, I feel.
That's insane.
But I don't have the numbers in front of me right now.
I'm gonna pull that up.
Yeah. So you got Morton Game 3 in LA. Then who's starting for the Dodgers?
Bueller. It's by the way, Morton in that game went 4 in the third inning, 7 hits, 5 runs, no walks, or 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, 1 home run allowed.
Okay, so
His postseason ERA in that season went from 0.57 to 2.70.
that was tough. That's tough. So yeah, you got Bueller, Morton. I kind of like where the Dodgers are there because it's also like a must-win thing, and I don't see their struggles with runners in scoring position continuing for an entire series.
I feel that has pitcher's duel potential.
It definitely
It
does.
hasn't been a very high-scoring series as a whole. That one has potential to be like another 3-2 game.
Yeah, I am actually just realizing it's a rematch of Game 3 last year in the World Series.
It absolutely is. That was not a pitcher's duel.
It was not.
That was 6-2. Yeah,
Right.
no.
Then Game 4, what do we got? Do we have Arias starting?
Arias versus. Have the Braves announced a starter? I don't think they have.
They cannot throw Bryce Wilson
Yeah,
out
no.
again.
They
I feel
definitely can't throw Kyle Wright, given his last performance. Yeah, the Braves have not announced a starter. What did they do in? Did they pitch Morton twice?
Yep.
They did. So we don't know what their fourth starter looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they try Fried out. Potentially, maybe they try to have him go like 1-4, potentially 7.
Yeah.
Like Cleveland did with Kluber in the World Series back in
That's right.
2016.
Yep.
See if that works for him. You never know though. So, and that's not announced. So I guess and how Game 4 plays out will determine how Game 5 plays out.
Yeah.
Pitching wise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are the chances we see the Dodgers win all three?
All three.
Less than 50%, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say like 25%. I think the Braves should take at least one.
Right.
As crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, I mean, they could potentially be carrying a lead into Atlanta if they go back. Well, when they go back, if the Dodgers can't win at home.
No.
So Braves could win it in Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. I think the series does go back to Atlanta though.
Yeah, me too.
I think the Dodgers take 2 out of 3. I don't know which one the Braves take, but I think the Dodgers take 2 out of 3, and Braves go back to Atlanta up 3-2 with a chance to clinch at home in Game 6.
Right.
That's what a crazy prediction considering our expectations for this series.
Exactly.
Imagine telling us when we were in the backyard on Thursday.
Yeah.
So basically, you're gonna say, realistically, the Braves will come back to Atlanta with a chance to clinch in Game 6.
Yeah.
If they don't, that's pretty disappointing considering everything else that happened beforehand.
Right. That's true. And then Red Sox Astros, I think we would both agree that whoever wins the 3-game series at Fenway
Wins the series.
It's not the series, but it's like a 3-game stretch at Fenway.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever wins that probably is going to win the series.
Yeah, I think my prediction for the series as a whole, I think, is holding up pretty well. I think the Red Sox are in the driver's seat after what we saw in Houston. Game 1 was very attainable. They just didn't get it done. And then Game 2 was just they played better.
Yeah.
So I think, going into Fenway, that atmosphere is just very different over there.
It is.
Yeah, I think the Red Sox realistically should take 2 out of 3 at Fenway.
Right. I just don't know which games they're going to be. It's kind of unpredictable that way.
I think if the Astros were to take one, I'd say it would be either Games 3 or 5. I just don't love their pitching situation in Game 4, given what their pitching has been through so far.
Right. The Astros winning all 3 would be. I put the chances very, very low on that.
Yep.
Red Sox winning all 3, I still not likely going to happen, but it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world, in my mind. Especially given how this offense has performed. I mean,
yep.
The entire postseason, I think their average exit velocity is around 91 miles per hour. Their hard hit rate is around 45%, which to do that as a team is just crazy. They had over a 900 OPS in the ALDS. They have over a 900 OPS in the ALCS. That offense is something, and it's hard to stop that in the middle of a postseason. So that's something that gives me confidence as a Red Sox fan is how the offense is just consistently going, and it makes whoever's pitching, whoever's starting on the mound, a little less important when you have an offense like that.
100%.
Just performing the way that they currently are.
Yeah, those hitters are locked in. It feels like everyone has a chance to do something, even if it's not a home run. Everyone has a chance to do something.
Yeah, just move a runner around.
Yeah. Anything.
That's something that should inspire confidence. And I guess I said Sox in 7. Excuse me, as my nose is just stuffy.
Yeah.
I said Sox in 7, thinking that Eovaldi would not be the Game 2 starter for the Red Sox, because if I knew Eovaldi would be the Game 2 starter, then it went Game 7, then that would mean that the Red Sox would have to lose Game 6, pretty much, or actually they could come back technically, but that's how I would assume it would go. So it would be weird seeing them lose with Eovaldi on the mound, but I don't know. We'll see how it plays out.
We will see. Indeed, we will.
All right, so I guess that does it for for Above Replacement Radio. We hope you enjoyed this one. If you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta and follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Kern, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you on Thursday, where we will be talking about the past 3 Red Sox-Astros games and the past 2 Dodgers-Braves games. So we will see you then.
This conversation is over.